Good morning, everyone. Good morning. How are you today? Conscious? Good. That's good. Welcome to the live in-person and live Zoom worship service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Riverside. Our doors are open and we will continue live streaming and posting these services on our YouTube channel for our virtual attendees. I'm Grace Preuss, a member of the worship committee, and I will be one of your worship associates today. Other members of the worship committee you will hear from include Dinah Rowe, our church treasurer. We welcome you to join us this morning with an open mind and an open heart, and with muted electronic devices, please. We know you come here for different reasons: to find community, to seek your spiritual and personal truths, to question, to nurture your heart and soul, to be nurtured, to explore new ideas, to find comfort, and perhaps to find the answers to some of your bigger questions. We welcome you. We know you come from different places, different religions, different beliefs, and different backgrounds. We hope you will find comfort, connection, challenge, and love here. Although our doors are open, the pandemic is not over. So while we are here, please keep your masks on and socially distance. We can speak in normal tones, but singing or chanting creates an increased risk of airborne exposure. So we ask you to please refrain from the time being. We invite those of you in the sanctuary to sit back and enjoy listening to our hymns. For those of you at home, sing your hearts out. And now I invite you to sit back and take a slow, deep breath as we move into the worship hour. For our call to worship, you are welcome to read with me the mission statement of our church. Our mission is to foster a diverse religious community that celebrates life, affirms the individual, encourages spiritual growth and open thought, and works to advance social justice and environmental sustainability. Today, we are pleased to welcome back Joan DeArtemis to speak to us on the topic, That Which Does Not Kill Us. Thanks to Zoom, Joan has once again become a frequent guest speaker, as she was a few years ago when she lived nearby. She currently lives in Massachusetts, where she is a candidate for UU ministry and serves as a summer minister at UU Wellesley Hills. Joan holds a bachelor's in religion and society from Syracuse University, a master of divinity from Claremont School of Theology, and she completed a chaplain residency at the Yuma Regional Medical Center in Arizona. When not practicing her craft of ministry, Joan spends time with Kathy, her spouse and partner of 27 years, and Finley, their Cardigan Welsh Corgi puppy. Joan, Kathy, and Finley live in Worcester, Massachusetts, the city that was the birthplace of both the birth control pill and the smiley face. Friedrich Nietzsche famously is reported to have said, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." Is that true? Or do setbacks and adversity just wear us down and make us into victims? Today, we will talk about overcoming setbacks and adversity, and possibly even seeing them as a source of mystery and wonder. We have two lightings of sacred flames. The first is the occupied Indigenous people's Remembrance candle. The second is the lighting of our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. I'm going to keep reading. We walk upon the traditional territories of diverse and sovereign peoples, the original people of this land, who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. This spot we occupy was first the sacred space of several groups of California Indians, including the Cahuilla, the Cupeño, and the Serrano. We, the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside, light this sacred flame as the stewards of this sacred and holy place. We are blessed with a space and an opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to be part of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together. Thank you, Bill. Today's reading of the chalice lighting is A Flame to Light Our Path by Deborah Burrell. Fire consumes and casts a bright light. May our chalice flame consume our regrets for the past, our fears about the future, and our worries about today. May it light for us a path of joy and peace. Our opening hymn this morning is Come, Thou Fount of Every Blessing. For those in the sanctuary, please sit back and enjoy the hymn, but please do not sing along.
Come, thou fount of every blessing, tune our hearts to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. While the hope of life's perfection fills our hearts with joy and love, teach us ever to be faithful. May we still thy goodness prove. Come, thou fount of every vision, lift our eyes to what may come. See the lion and the young lamb dwell together in thy home. Hear the cries of war fall silent, feel our love glow like the sun. When we all serve one another, for heaven is begun. Come, thou fount of inspiration, turn our lives to higher ways. Lift our gloom and desperation, show the promise of this day. Help us bind ourselves in union, our hands tremor our love. With thine aid, O fount of justice, earth be fair as heaven above. With thine aid, O fount of justice, earth be fair as heaven above.
We have a tradition here at UUCR. We like to welcome those who are visitors or perhaps are returning after some time away. But we know it can be uncomfortable to stand up and speak in front of others, and we won't ask you to do something we wouldn't do ourselves. So I'm going to choose someone, a suspecting soul, unless we have a volunteer, who has been here a while to tell us your name and how you first found out about our church. We ask you to hold the mic close to your face and speak it into it directly and clearly so that everyone can hear. Do we have any volunteers today? Then I'd like to call on Finn. So Finn is back there.
Hi. Hi, I'm Finn. I first heard about this church at a Pride Festival in Riverside. And was reluctant to come, but eventually I did, and I got hooked. So that's it.
Thank you, Finn. We're glad you got hooked. So that's how it's done. If you are new here or new again, please stand or raise your hand and Bill will come around with the mic. Morning.
My name is Melissa. This is my first year, so thank you, everyone. I moved to the city of Riverside. Los Angeles. We just moved. We're excited to find our community here. This is
Penelope.
she's also
Thank you for coming. If there's someone online who would like to introduce themselves, please raise your hand and Adam will call on you. Okay. For new guests, our visitors book is in the parish hall. So before you leave, please be sure that you sign that so that we can know you were here and let you know about upcoming events. For those online, the best way to get added to the mailing list is to email the church office at admin@uuchurchofriverside.org. There are a few announcements that we would like to share. During the service, we will mention several websites, email addresses, and phone numbers. At the end of the service, we will leave up a slide with all of this information, and it is available on our website. Sharing joys and concerns is one of the most important rituals in our community. An opportunity to share milestones, losses, achievements, and experiences with one another. Now that our doors are open again, on the first Sunday of each month, we can both hear from those in the sanctuary and read the contributions that we have received. In front of the pulpit, there is a book where you can write your joys and concerns whenever you are here in the sanctuary. For those of you at home, you can send your joys and concerns throughout the month to uuchurchofriverside@gmail.com. Our next Joys and Concerns will be on September 5th. The Social and Environmental Justice Committee will be meeting today at 11 a.m. And Dinah, we're having a bake sale today? Okay, there's a bake sale out in the parish hall today. So feel free to stock up on your goodies. Our hymn now is Spirit of Life. If you are in the sanctuary, I invite you to sit back, close your eyes, and listen.
Good morning. This portion of our service is to support our beloved historical church and our local community. This can be accomplished in several ways. You may send your check to the church address, which will be shown later, or you may contribute using the QR code, which is on the church website and also in the newsletter. Stater Brothers Market gives our church a rebate on Stater Brothers grocery cards, which we will have in the church each Sunday. Prior to the COVID shutdown, we accepted donations for the food insecure. We're going to resume this practice. You may bring donations for the little free pantry, which is outside on Lemon Street. You can see it out there by the fence. It is suggested you bring food items which are easy to open, such as pop-top cans of food, rice, and other staple items which can also be contributed. And out in the parish hall is a blue bin. You can put items in there, or if you have them here in the church sanctuary, we'll collect them. And as Grace said, we have a bake sale today, which contributes to our church general fund. Will our ushers come forward to receive the collection? Thank you to the team of Bill and Bill.
Our next hymn is From You I Receive.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, from this we live. From you I receive,
Thank you for your patience. So today we are having
Turn my sound down.
Joan DeArtemis speak to us on the topic, That Which Does Not Kill Us. And I believe she is now online.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, I guess they're waiting for me. Our meditation today is a survival meditation by Nathan C. Walker. Breathing in, I am aware of my pain. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my pain. Breathing in, I am aware of my past. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my past. Breathing in, I am aware of my anger. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my anger. Breathing in, I am aware of my despair. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my despair. Breathing in, I am aware of peace. Breathing out, I am aware that I am worthy of peace. Breathing in, I am aware of love. Breathing out, I am aware that I am worthy of love. Breathing in, I am aware of joy. Breathing out, I am aware that I am an agent of joy. Breathing in, I am aware of hope. Breathing out, I am aware that I am an agent of hope. Breathing in, I am aware. Now let us pause for a moment of silence. Nineteenth century German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche is said to have once written, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." And now this quote has become a part of our American lexicon. It is often invoked to encourage people to push past adversity and setbacks. And there have been a slew of motivational posters made with it. There's been at least one movie that I know of that uses it as its title. Former President Nixon's Watergate co-plotter, G. Gordon Liddy, rephrased the line in his 1980 biography, Will, saying, "That which doesn't kill us makes us stronger." The 1982 film, Conan the Barbarian, conspicuously begins with, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger," and ascribes us to Nietzsche. But it's somewhat misquoted. The actual quote from Twilight of the Idols is, "Out of life's school of war, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger." He then gives no explanation as to why he said it whatsoever. Now, I will admit, Conan the Barbarian is one of my favorite all-time movies. But it is absolutely unequivocally pure fantasy. The very idea that a child can watch both his parents murdered in front of him, along the rest of the adults of his village, which is then destroyed in its entirety, and then be rounded up with all the other children and pressed into child slave labor to push a giant millstone for years, watching one by one as each of his companions die, leaving him as the sole engine of that millstone. The very idea that that one remaining child will then have the physique of 11-time winner of the Mr. Olympia title is beyond ridiculous. But I still love the movie. I love that movie because it instills in me a hope that it is possible, even though I know full well it's not. The actual reality is that kind of trauma and adversity makes no one stronger. It only wounds one on a very deep level. And the other very harsh reality of life is this. This kind of trauma, this kind of trauma is not pure fantasy. It happens. It still happens. Anywhere in the world where there is perpetual warfare and children are still kidnapped or trapped, forced into the commercial sex trade, involuntary labor, or forced to become soldiers. This stuff still goes on. And there's nothing noble or romantic or admirable about it. But there is something that is kind of remarkable, even amazing, about the human spirit. You see, even though I am 100% cognizant of the things that are depicted in the movie and that they very much exist in real life and that they are horrific, I still love that movie. Why? Because it helps me feel better, more hopeful about my own adversities and setbacks, which I will readily admit come nowhere near the ones in that movie. But this is a way I can kind of trick my subconscious into believing that if little Conan can endure all of that, then maybe I can endure the various things that have happened in my life and come out even stronger. And oh, by the way, even though I am not a student of Friedrich Nietzsche, I do know that he died at age 55 after a long period of both physical and mental illness. And I'm pretty sure he never once won a Mr. Olympia title. There is another way that we humans are incredibly amazing. We have figured out something important about what it means to be alive. We have figured out that things that are alive usually want to stay that way. And because of that, living organisms do their best to adapt to adverse conditions. For example, I was born in South Bend, Indiana, the same area where my ancestors had lived for generations. Further back than that, my ancestors lived in places of similar weather, like Poland and Scotland and England, places with 4 defined seasons and cold, sometimes even brutal winters. However, we moved to Southern California when I was 7. So while I was growing up, my body kind of adapted to the climate that was hot and dry. And not everyone's does. My mother, for example, she was miserable every summer from the heat in Southern California and for much of the winter as well. It was just too hot for her. But I don't remember my dad ever being bothered by it. He used to tell me that it was because his blood got thin. Now, I thought at the time this was nonsense. But truthfully, when I moved back to the Midwest when I was 18, I was cold all of the time. I used to literally spend all my time sitting in front of the heater in our apartment. Because in the winter, I just couldn't keep warm. But eventually, one day in upstate New York, I realized that it was like 20 below zero outside and snowing, and I put on a sweater and ran across the street to go to the corner store. I don't know this for sure, but here's my current theory. My current theory is that my body was able to adapt to California's climate by creating a bunch of little capillaries close to the surface of my skin, which then allowed me to cool off more easily than my mother, who apparently couldn't adapt in that way. The ability to do this was probably something I inherited from my dad because he was never bothered. But then when I moved back and started experiencing colder winters again, at first I was cold all the time. But eventually my body just shut off those capillaries to adapt because I didn't need them anymore. Now, the reason I have this theory is that plants do the same thing. Some plants do. The ones that turn all those beautiful fall colors, the reason they do that is the plant literally shuts off the water to the leaves so that the leaves are not vulnerable to the bitter cold anymore. The leaves drop off so that the plant can survive. Nature is amazing, isn't it? Like, isn't that the most amazing thing? So we humans, we figured out that our bodies can adapt to adversity, at least within certain limits. And that ability to adapt is what we are exploiting whenever we employ training. All training is based on this. Anyone who has ever served in the military will tell you, basic training feels like pure torture. You think you're going to die, but you don't. It's not torture. It's actually a safe way to prepare one physically, mentally, emotionally, even spiritually for the demands of war so that you can survive it, or at least have some chance of surviving it. Now, a lot of people don't survive war. And this is because there are limits as to how much a living organism can adapt. You can't, for example, adapt to being shot. But this is how all athletes train as well. Remember Arnold Schwarzenegger's physique? He didn't get that by pushing a millstone as a child slave for 10 years. He got that through a kind of weight training technique called progressive resistance. Basically doing a series of very specific exercises for each body part using weights. And with each workout, one either increases the number of repetitions or the amount of weight. Each workout needs to be just a little bit harder than the last one. Basically, you're sending a message to your body that life is getting harder and harder and more demanding. And your body responds by saying, wow, I better get ready for that. And it makes more muscle. And then you also go on a very low fat, high protein diet, and your body says, wow, it looks like we're heading into a famine. And the only food we can find is by hunting. I better get ready for that too. And your body metabolism adjusts by becoming more and more efficient metabolizing protein and less dependent on carbohydrate and sugars and fat. So basically, you trick your body into thinking, it's facing adversity, but it really isn't. Bodybuilding demands that you have the luxury in your life of having the energy and time to spend at the gym, lifting weights, and the money to spend on a very high quality, nutritious, high protein diet. You're not really fighting for your life. Your body just thinks it is. But it takes quite a lot of self-discipline, because you must constantly fight your instincts to either eat a whole bunch of calories whenever they become available, or actually avoid exercise at all costs, because your body can also become afraid of being pushed to exhaustion and just shut down. Now, this is true of all athletes. This is true of all football players and basketball players and baseball players, golfers, and all of the Olympic athletes. All athletes have a total lifestyle that revolves around convincing their bodies that there is some sort of adversity that their bodies must adapt to, and perfecting those skills that will enable them to survive that adversity. Now, I can kind of see that in football. So like, football develops a skill where you must catch some small animal, maybe a little pig, that's why they call it a pigskin, and run home with it before anybody from a competing tribe catches you and takes it away. And basketball is kind of similar. I guess they're taking whatever it is and throwing it over a high wall or throwing it into a basket way high up so that nobody else can get it before anybody can take it away. And truthfully, I gotta say, I have not figured out baseball yet. But the fact that not only our bodies can adapt in that way, but we can voluntarily create the conditions that make it do so is amazing. So I guess in that sense, what doesn't kill you does make you stronger. But if what you're doing in training does kill you, then you're doing it wrong. So here's the primary reason that I wanted to bring this up today. And I know this is not news to any of you, but I'm going to say it. We live in an aggressively predatory capitalistic culture. So beware. That concept of that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger can sometimes become a way to shame people into pushing past their limits for the profit of others. I honestly think this quote was woven its way into our collective unconscious. And that is why there are still so many people who believe that we should just let the pandemic take its course. They are really thinking that they and their families are the strong ones who will survive, and only the weak ones will die. That is brutal. And it is as much fantasy as little traumatized Conan growing up to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. But it is also encouraged in our culture. It is either the mechanism or closely related to the mechanism that is used to keep, for example, workers working in meat processing plants even though their numbers are being reduced at an alarming rate by the pandemic. Kind of like little Conan watching the other children die off at the millstone. It is the mechanism, or closely related to the mechanism, that makes it okay or even expected that many of us now actually never take a day off. Do you know why we meet for worship on Sunday? Have you ever thought about it? Well, the tradition of doing worship on Sunday morning is, of course, a tradition that was handed down to us from our Jewish and Christian spiritual forebears. It's related to Genesis chapter 2, verse 3, that says, "So God blessed the seventh day and hallowed it." Because on it, God rested from all the work he had done in creation. These words were written by and for a group of people who were freed slaves, the Israelites. They basically thought of themselves as slaves, as human machines who did not deserve rest. They had to be told to take a day off for self-care. So that is what Sunday is for. Now, I must work on Saturday because this is the job. Did I say Saturday? I must work on Sunday because this is the job that I signed up for. But my job on Sunday is to help you care for yourself. I'll take a different day off for me. But I can't stress this enough. Each of you needs a day off, at least one per week. And by day off, I don't mean a day to do your errands or a day to do your side hustle. I mean a day off. Membership in labor unions has been shrinking in this country since the 1950s. But the 8-hour-a-day movement or the 40-hour week movement was actually a social effort to control the duration of the working day and to avoid employers taking your workday to an extreme with cruelty. The 8-hour work period has its roots in the 16th century in Spain. But the modern day effort dates to the Industrial Revolution in Britain, where manufacturing production in big sweatshops changed working lives. And at that point in time, the workday could vary from 10 to 16 hours. The work week was usually 6 days long, and the usage of child labor was expected and commonplace. The first nation to launch the 8-hour workday by law for manufacturing works and for defense employees was Spain in 1593. In the contemporary era, it was recognized by all occupations, not at first in the US, but in the Soviet Union. The 8-hour-a-day, 5-day-a-week work week became the norm, eventually in this country. If you were expected to work more, it was expected you got paid more. Time and a half, or double, or even triple time. A 5-day work week meant that you had a day for your errands and projects and another one for self-care. And that kind of seems like just a quaint little remnant of the past now. I mean, most people I know never take a day off. Even if their employees give them one, which it shouldn't be a gift, it should be expected. That time is usually spent either getting ready for the next workday, catching up on your emails, or of course, running your personal errands, and possibly even delivering groceries or driving for Uber. But you know, that which doesn't kill you. This last Olympics, I saw something that I found truly inspirational. I watched Simone Biles do these amazing moves during her training. I was just watching her training, and I guess she was doing this move that literally no one else in the world can do. It was like I was watching a superhero. I was totally amazed. Now, I apologize. I'm not actually much of a sports fan, and I literally know almost nothing about any sport that does not involve picking up heavy things. But I was amazed. However, what really impressed me was when Simone Biles decided to drop out of the competition because of mental health issues. That I thought was pure gold. Now, of course, the internet went nuts. A lot of people called her a quitter, a loser, spoiled. But I think this is part of that, if it doesn't kill you, culture. Somehow, many people think that athletes are supposed to continue to entertain us, even if it does kill them. And this is why there are so many football players walking around with TBIs, and why so many race car drivers die in crashes, and why so many horses perish on the racetrack. That which doesn't kill you does not make you stronger. In fact, it can do you serious harm. And we all need to start saying no. The oppressive thing about capitalism and consumerism and white supremacy culture, for that matter, is our utter inability to listen to our need for rest. These are the words of writer Pastor Jenny Smith that she posted recently in her blog. She went on to say that in her view, ministers ran a proverbial marathon during the pandemic, and I am certainly feeling that. And I'm sure many of you are. I feel like the last year and a half have been one long, grueling event. But then, as she said in her blog, instead of reaching the finish line and collapsing and resting and replenishing our bodily fluids, somebody ran up and slapped the new number on our backs and said, okay, now go do it again. And I'm feeling that too. And I'm sure a lot of you are. I don't think it's just pastors and ministers. I think it's all of us. Because you see, now that we have learned to work from home, we are expected literally to work at home all the time. It's not like we actually have to go into work. We can do our stuff from home. on Sunday at 11 o'clock at night if we need to. We don't really have to do that, you know. We can say no. And even if you yourself don't think you deserve it, you do, by the way, then do it for the greater good. We don't have labor unions anymore. We each have to do it. Just like we wear our masks, so much, not so much for ourselves, but for the people around us. Saying no to aggressive, predatory capitalism is another way that we can care for one another while we care for ourselves. It won't kill you, and it might just make us all stronger. Our closing hymn today is Let It Be a Dance. And those in the sanctuary, sit back and close your eyes and listen quietly. May whatever gatherings or activities we engage in this Sunday afternoon help restore us, our connections to one another, our sense of hope, beauty, and fun in this world, our deep knowing that we have to take care of ourselves and each other. with love and joy if we are to soulfully survive the world's mayhem. Namaste, amen, and blessed be.
Thank you, Joan Artemis, for sharing your valuable time and insights with us this morning. Thank you for taking us from Conan the Barbarian to the 2020 Olympics. It is sincerely appreciated, and we look forward to seeing you again. If possible, we could have a 10 to 15 minute Q&A with Joan today. Is that possible, Joan?
Yes.
If there's a Q&A, okay. We'll have anybody who has questions or comments come up here and speak their thoughts up here on the mic. Okay, beware, this will be included on the video that is posted. So we invite your participation.
Might have to come out into the office.
I guess Bill is coming around with the mic.
Is this going to work? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
This works? Okay. Joan, thank you so much. That was
I've lost you. I cannot hear you now.
Joan.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
now I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you so much. That was such an interesting combination. As Grace said, Conan the Barbarian to the Olympics. I noticed just recently Mark Takano, our House of Representatives guy, is that who he is? Yeah, he just recommended a 32-hour work week,
Oh, I
which
didn't
I
know
think would be
that.
great.
I am so sorry. I was so fond of him. Mark Takano was dying.
I'm sorry, what? No, he didn't die. He did not die.
He did not die.
recommended.
Thank goodness, I was
Recommended.
very upset.
Mark Takano recommended.
He recommended a
32-hour
32-hour
work.
work week, yeah.
Yeah, I know in my job at the hospital, when I went from 5 days at 8 hours to 4 days at 10 hours, it got so much better. Even though the days were long, but
Yeah.
the 3 days off is really a good thing.
Yes,
Because you can do your errands, you can do your doctor's appointments, you can get stuff done and still have a weekend. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for that sermon. I really, those are really good points. I don't know where else you do your sermons, but who else sees them? But that's a keeper.
thank you.
Thank you.
I keep them, I will never do the same exact sermon twice, but I sometimes take elements out and I incorporate them again.
Anyone else? Bill?
You mentioned that one part about working from home.
Yes,
Well, it does seem that during the last few years, we've had serious blurrings of that line. In the days of the Industrial Revolution, it was assumed, oh, good, you're getting more hours, good for you. And then later on, it's we'll reward you by making you a salaried worker, and you'll never work more, except in very rare cases, than you're 40. As a matter of fact, you'll be paid as if you were working more, but you'll really only work 40. Nowadays, people go to work And they say, I better be paid by the hour for this, and triple hours if you want me to come in on a day off. At least that's what happens if you've got a good job. For the rest of us, there's Uber, and you're never quite really off duty. We've had some changes with our hours lately, both the attitude of them and how much people are trying to slide in on us to make the system continue to grind along.
Mhm. Well, when I belonged to a union and worked in manufacturing, yeah, I worked 56 hours a week, but anything over 8 hours in a day, I got paid time and a half for. And I got paid time and a half for Saturday. So I was compensated for that. But now most people I know are doing something literally every day of the week.
Anyone else? So apparently there's a question online.
Okay, can someone read it to me?
Yeah, Adam's working on it. Tell John Longfield. Okay, John Longfield, are you online?
Yeah, I am. Joan, thank you for this. When my dad retired after 33 years with the government, he had 26 weeks of built up vacation time he hadn't used.
Oh, wow.
The last 2 weeks that my wife, well, excuse me, the last 2 years that my wife worked, she was working 65-hour weeks. She was making all this money, but she had no time to spend it. And I also wanted to thank Alec and Margaret for that last song. I think that really gives Margaret a chance to show off what a great voice she has.
Absolutely.
Anyone else? Okay, I think we're good. Okay. So thanks again, Joan. I guess the question we ask is how much is ever enough? So, and as you said, it's important sometimes to learn to say no. Thank you very much for, yes. Thank you very much for your service. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I am so glad to be here. Bye-bye.
Bye.